Hartlepool are destined for the drop. They might go down in a blaze of glory. They routed promotion-chasing Burnley. Keith Houchen set the standards. It was all-action stuff. Soon after, Paul Thompson chased Burnley skipper John Pender all the way, only to be elbowed out of it. Pender got the red card, Poole a penalty. Nicky Southall saw his kick blocked by Marlon Beresford, but dug himself out with the follow-up. Just to make sure interest didn't flag, the visitors pulled one back with half-time approaching. David Ayres, his 23rd of the season. More than just the goals kept the fans entertained. An ice hockey-style brawl between Poole's Anthony Sked and Adrian Heath meant two more were on their way. The long walk, at least, not so lonely. Nine-man Burnley were finished after that. Houchen put the result beyond doubt with his second of the afternoon. Then a final flourish with another sharply taken goal, this time by Paul Thompson. 4-1, heady stuff. One thing guaranteed to add sparkle to Hartlepool's football, its early season cup action. After just 8 minutes, Keith Houchen on the rampage through Burnley's rear guard, 1-0 on the night. But the Lancashire side restored their two-goal first-leg advantage on the half-hour. Former Poole players Ryan Cross and Lenny John Rose both involved. Tony Rigby volleyed past Brian Horn. Time was running out for John McPhail's side when Nicky Southall grabbed 2 goals in 5 minutes. His first was a solo effort, shooting low past Gary Kelly. His second levelled the scores on aggregate and sent the tie into extra time, the shot finding its way through a crowded box. The Victoria ground was being treated to a real thriller. And when Southall's cross was turned into his own net by Michael Jackson, it was disaster for Bury. The ever-willing Southall chased and harried the Bury defence into another blunder and unselfishly set up Paul Thompson for his first of the season, 5-1 on the night.
Direction again thanks to a vintage performance against Gillingham. 33-year-old Keith Houchen headed them into the lead from 37-year-old Alan Walsh's free kick. And then Walsh, making his debut for his hometown club, scored the second from the penalty spot after Houchen had been fouled. 2-0 to Poole.
First winning charge came against Preston. Keith Houchen's opener had been cancelled out by Graham Atkinson, but Jason Ainsley restored the lead before the break, and a debut goal from loan signing Wayne Foster made it 3-1 at the Victoria ground. A win at last after 5 defeats in a row. No goals between. Welcome back former manager John McPhail in defence for Saturday's match against Rochdale. Current manager David McCreary had dropped himself and watched from the bench as Scott Sloane scored the only goal of the game to lift Poole off the bottom of the 3rd division.
Hartlepool's hero and villain on Saturday was Keith Houchen. The coach tore Bury apart at the Victoria ground with his first hat-trick in 10 years, then was sent off. His second strike of the afternoon was a follow-up to Scott Sloane's shot, and second-place Bury were in all kinds of trouble. They did pull one back before Houchen made sure of all 3 points with a cracking header. That's the 3rd win in a row for David McCreary's men. Scarborough and Hartlepool served up another all-action derby. Keeper Brian Horn didn't connect with his punch, and Steve Norris put the Seasiders in front. Mitch Cook's free kick created the equaliser, a great diving header by the new skipper Ian McGuckin. Poole then went in front, Cook's free kick causing the problems again. This time the ball's bundled over the line by the player coach Keith Houchen. Poole were then reduced to 9 men with McGuckin and Anthony Sked given their marching orders, and Scarborough made the most of the extra men and Mark Wells equalised 6 minutes from time. Victoria Park, where Hartlepool's Ian McGuckin put them on level terms with Scarborough. Neither side could get another breakthrough in normal or extra time, so it went to penalties. And Poole's player-manager Keith Houchen played his part from the spot as both sides rattled in 5 in a row. David Doria was also on target for Scarborough. One of the most powerful strikes of the night came from Poole's keeper Brian Horn, who didn't give his opposite number Gavin Kelly a chance. Scarborough's keeper did pull off the save of the night though when he blocked Keith Oliver's effort. Kelly and his teammates obviously thought they'd done enough. But they hadn't figured on Horn's heroics when he got down to save the next kick from Stuart Hicks. So it was all level again. Eventually it came down to this shootout. Veteran Mick Tate put Poole in the driving seat with that one, and it was left to Lee Thew to keep Scarborough in it. He skied it miles over the bar, and Poole could start the celebrations. They go through to the second round, 7-6 on penalties.
Hartlepool came from behind to earn a vital win at home to Cardiff. But by Pool manager Keith Houchen's own admission, it was an awful match at Victoria Park. Chris Lynch brought down Darren Adams inside the box on 10 minutes, and Carl Dale put the Welsh side in front from the penalty spot. It took 2 goals from loan signing Kenny Lowe to rescue the points. They came in stoppage time at the end of each half. The first was simple enough after Houchen had pressured the goalkeeper. The second was more impressive. Cardiff were down to 10 men for most of the second half, and United made the advantage count with a neat move down the left. Lowe finished well, 2-1 to Hartlepool.
In Division 3, Hartlepool grabbed their first away points of the season with an impressive win at Cambridge. Pool had lost keeper Brian Horn and Tony Canham, but Steve Howard turned and fired in the only goal of the game. They'll need a few more of those at Highbury on Tuesday.
At Victoria Park, it was welcome home to Joe Allen. The former North East Player of the Year rejoined Poole earlier this week and played his part in a 2-0 win against Scunthorpe. A neat flick pass to Stephen Howard set up the first. That's Howard's 3rd goal in 3 games, but you couldn't tell if the scorer, the fans, or the new signing was the happiest. That came on 50 minutes. 4 minutes later, Poole added a terrific second. Denny Ingram looked up and found Damien Henderson, and he had no trouble finding the net. Poole are in 14th place, level on points with Darlington.
Referee Neil Barry booked 7 and sent off 3 at Hartlepool yesterday. His linesman says stamping was the problem when Joe Allen got his marching orders for an off-the-ball incident after 20 minutes. Top of the table, Gillingham had the advantage, but not for long. No sooner had their fans waved goodbye to Allen than Pools were bidding farewell to Tony Butler for his 2nd bookable offence. There was high tension, claims of racial abuse from the crowd and Hartlepool players towards Gillingham's Leo Fortune West. He was the one who went down for the penalty just before half-time. Fortune West was at the centre of a similar controversy at Darlington. Dennis Bailey eventually scored from the spot to give Gillingham the lead, but Pool's young superstar Steve Halliday levelled it all up after half-time with a solo special. He had the beating of all the defenders. That was the end of the scoring, but not the end of the name-taking. Pool's manager Keith Houchen was sent off after voicing his opinions to the referee. He had to be restrained and says he's now considering appealing against every card the referee showed.
Huckabee put them in sight of that elusive victory with a splendid solo goal. It was Joe Allen who rescued a point for Hartlepool with a strike against his old club. 1-1. At the expense of fellow strugglers Mansfield, who can't seem to win on their own patch. Player manager Keith Houchen led by example, and from the front, a highly productive afternoon's work. He was on the score sheet twice. The Mansfield defence stretched to breaking point. Houchen grabbing his 2nd of the match. Stephen Halliday sealed it with a 3rd as Hartlepool won at a canter.
What a different story for Hartlepool. 2 cracking festive away wins. Yesterday's at Bury started by their delighted manager Keith Houchen. His goal on half-time, a stylish first-footer. Bury hadn't conceded a league goal since late October, but they shipped 2 disasters in 4 second-half minutes. Steve Halliday nipped in to punish the mistake. More crazy capers quickly followed, with keeper Gary Kelly again the victim. He could only push Chris Lynch's deflected effort onto the bar, and Ian McGuckin swooped to complete a perfect start to 96.
League debut with Hartlepool's first goal of the afternoon. The Orient defence had no real answer, and on this evidence, Conlon could have a bright future in the game. Hartlepool had to wait a little longer for their 2nd. It arrived on the stroke of half-time, courtesy of Joe Allen. United manager Pat Holland could only watch as his side slipped to their 10th away defeat. He accused his players of lacking character. Ian McGuckin's powerful header made it 3-0. And when Chris Lynch put his name on the score sheet, Orient were heading for a heavy defeat. They're in desperate need of some new playing personnel to kickstart their faltering season.
Finally, Hartlepool took the honours in the North East derby match at the McCain Stadium. Paul Conlon claims he got a touch for the opening goal against Scarborough. The Seasiders were playing to their biggest crowd of the season, with 2,500 fans on the East Coast. and Stuart Higgs brought the home side level 2 minutes before the break. Conlon's second of the match, though, claimed the points. The Scarborough players expected the referee to blow for a foul. Poole carried on, and that made it 2-1 to Keith Houchen's team.
After a desperate scramble, 18-year-old Paul Conlon chested it down, turned and scored. It was the fourth goal in 6 games for the 18-year-old.
Body blow by Hartlepool as their 7-match unbeaten run came to an end at the Victoria Ground. Steve Halliday was first on the score sheet for the North East outfit, back just after the quarter of an hour mark. Paul Gibbs equalised for Colchester in first half injury time, and their long trip north suddenly looked worthwhile. Their cause wasn't helped by the sending off of Adam Locke early in the second half. They lost their shape, Hartlepool capitalised, and Steve Howard came up trumps with a perfect finish.
Hartlepool ended a run of 4 straight defeats with an impressive win at home to Lincoln City. Pool's first came from Damien Henderson on 29 minutes. Then came a brace from ex-Lincoln striker Joe Allen. The former North East Player of the Year scored both goals in the last 15 minutes. The first supplied by Steve Howard, and the second a rebound after Howard's effort had hit the bar. 3-0 was the final score at Victoria Park.